What's up, y'all? This is Dre with Bill 206, Bill 206 Media. This show is the collective network where we're highlighting Black folks in the community that are doing amazing work. One, so they can share what they're doing, have a space to share what they're doing, as well as letting the community at large know the amazing things that are going on out here. Because as y'all know, Black folks are very resilient and we got a lot of resources at our fingertips. We just need to know how to plug into the network. So this show is called the Collective Network. I'm going to bring this young brother that has been in the mix like a blender, making things happen. Uh, on the ground in the trenches. Being a leader. This young brother Ed, he runs an organization and has tapped in with a lot of things in the movement. So I'm going to bring him on. We've been tapped in very close for the last couple of years now. So I'm excited to have him on. I think I see him in the back studio. So I'm going to bring him out and have him share a little bit about himself and what he's doing in the community, the great work he's been doing. What's up? What's up, brother Ed?
What's good? What's good? How you doing, bro?
Same old, man. Trying to stay out the way, man. How are you?
I'm cool. I'm cool. Same. Trying to steer clear and keep it pushing on the consistent path.
That's what's up. So yeah, so this show, I gave you a little brief overview of what it's about, but it's really an opportunity for folks like you and other folks to really share the work that y'all are doing in the community, so people can tap in, support, or collaborate, partnerships, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So this is a opportunity for you to kind of share all the stuff that you're tapped into, as well as for people to learn about what you're doing. It's really it shows the intergenerationality too of what we're doing. We've got men, women, young folks, elders. It's a mix of everybody who's on this show. So we're just going to jump right in. We're going to kick it off, and the first question is really all about you. So if you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
For sure. My name is Ed Hampton. In the hood, they call me Tez. My family, shouts out to them. But yeah, I grew up in the Central District. Um, Born and raised in Seattle. My family been in Seattle since the 40s. Came up from Oklahoma, Arkansas, Mississippi. Um, and yeah, I'm a product of the terrorism that was waged on us by this country's government. Yeah, that's how we got up here. We migrated, fleeing white terrorists. So yeah, I was born in the 90s. And went to Meany Middle School, got gentrified, went to high schools in Kent, and went through all the rebel phase. But really, to be honest, I really never came out of my rebel phase. I'm still there. You know what I'm saying? That's why you see Che Guevara, what I'm saying, on the shirt. You know what I'm saying? And I really try and have more African ancestors. But revolution is revolution. Um, but yeah, went through all the stuff and really found myself in towards my late teens, early 20s, into my mid 20s, and just realized what I needed to be doing. What I'm saying, as a Black person, as an African man, realizing what I was supposed to be doing. So that's that. That's how I got to here. And I should I go more in depth? Is that
No, that's solid. And I think that transitions us right into, tell us about the work you are doing or have done in community. So that's really a good transition.
for sure? The so the work I have done is pretty much rooted in understanding and finding myself and my community and figuring out what exactly I'm supposed to be doing. So yeah, the first few years of my consciousness waking up and seeing the war that's been waged and how we have to step up to be those warriors to combat this war being waged on us by just building in a community. That was the first few years, and really since 2019, really being more solidified in the direction. We started the Black Elephant Party in 2017, into 2016, but came out strong 2017. Really was doing things backwards, and had to just learn through experience, which is always great. And really was just trying to have a presence in the community and figure out where we were supposed to be at. And towards the end of 2018, had a revamping and really solidified a structural foundation that's rooted in our reality. And yeah, really since 2019, been just on the road. We're really big on defense. We always have been. We take youth to do archery. We take women to the range, and we talk about our Second Amendment rights. And we talk about how we try and break stereotypes around guns, because our community is traumatized because we've lost so many people to gun violence, and it's been gang gun violence. So people don't really realize our history with the Panthers and how we were criminalized, and just our history in general over the last 400 years. How it was illegal for Black people to have guns because they didn't want us to revolt from the slavery that we've been in from when this country was created to tomorrow, because it's not over yet. So yeah, just wanting to criminalize us and keep guns out of our hand. And any way they can do that by planting drugs in our community. And I'm not just talking about in the 80s. It's been going on for a while. Y'all really recently seen the Billie Holiday movie, and even when you see that, you realize that Billie Holiday, I mean, you don't even see it in this movie. There's a book called Drugs as Weapons Against Us, and they use drugs to criminalize us and also hook us on drugs. So it dampened our radical nature to revolt. So really getting the women at the range to understand that. We focus on Black women. It's free for all Black women. The first time they come to attend, we want to at least make sure that you get it in and can learn how to properly operate one. And we also follow up to assist with folks if they need help choosing a firearm. I don't really deal with this stuff. My comrades do, but they choose to help them choose whatever firearm they need. But yeah, really just rooting in our reality and getting to the mothers first, because we know that they're the first teachers. And then, also having youth archery day, so we can start building a relationship with these kids and, really push, them not having guns so they don't catch cases and have this hanging over their head their whole lives. Really just trying to help them have a clear record as they steer through this oppressive system. So we do other things like build collectively and try and see the different areas. We know we've been attacked in certain areas, so in those areas we try and make sure that's where we're building people power and helping. Our goal is really to be connectors and to help bring people together and be on the same page, so we're not working in silos. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. Really big on defense, and our defense program is still developing and expanding.
That's what's up. And I know you guys have a number of events and activities and stuff where people can tap in and learn about you. And as you guys can check out the website, it's in the description. Also, all the social medias are tapped in the description. So make sure you guys tap into those. So thank you for all the amazing work that you're doing. I know it's a short amount of time, so you weren't really able to dig into everything, because I know you're tapped in with a lot of other coalitions and movements and supporting a lot of other things that are going on in the trenches. So appreciate the work that you've been doing. Let's transition into the next question, and it's a little bit of a personal one. It's who or what inspires you and why?
Man, my ancestors, they're my biggest inspiration. Whether they come from, my bloodline, other cultures, other peoples, you know what I'm saying? El Che. My ancestors, those who, fought, spent their whole lives fighting for us, whether it was cut short or they had a long life. I honor all those, and I'm inspired by all those ancestors whose shoulders I stand on, because I wouldn't know, my head wouldn't be where it's at, and my body wouldn't be where it's at if it wasn't for them. You know what I'm saying? So, they inspire me. The revolutionaries, I should say. And if I'm specific, it's not just my ancestors, my elders too. Because a lot of those folks who were mobbing with the ancestors too, not all of them are gone. You know what I'm saying? So my elders. My mom really inspires me. She had a very rough life, and probably if it wasn't for her life, I wouldn't be doing any of this. But I realized, her as a Black woman being at the very bottom of this dichotomy that these white folks got us in. She comes from, one of the most marginalized intersections of our culture. So she inspires me a lot. And then from there, Panthers, pimps, revolutionaries, Malcolm X. He's a big inspiration. Tupac is a huge inspiration. If it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be as advanced as I am. A lot of his music helped me really see the world for what it was, and help pull me out of unrealistic nature. Even just by his example that he set showed a lot. But Pac, his pops, Matulu Shakur, you know what I'm saying? Huge inspiration. Imam Jamim El Amin, formerly known as H-Rap Brown, who's a political prisoner. Both him and Matulu Mumia Abu Jamal. A huge inspiration is also George Jackson, the ancestor who was assassinated in 1971. One of the greatest minds from the culture I come from. Harriet Tubman, huge inspiration. Definitely strive to be like her every day. Black Elephant Party is also in brother partnership with an organization called the George Jackson Freedom Coalition, which was started in one of the penitentiaries up here in Washington State. And just like Harriet, we trying to get our people free. So that's a big part of the work that we're doing. We're focused on. So George Jackson, Malcolm X, Harriet Tubman, Marcus Garvey, huge inspiration. Dr. Huey P. Newton, huge inspiration. Audre Lorde, very inspiring too. She's more of a recent inspiration, but been helping me understand stuff. Dr. Maureen Biani, who wrote Yurugu, if y'all know, but she's a huge inspiration. Also Marsha P. Johnson, huge inspiration. She helped me see that we got to make sure that we highlight our trans community, and if we don't, what I'm saying, we if they ain't free, then none of us is free. So she was a huge inspiration too, and still learning and growing on more knowledge of that intersection. But really just the people who rose up against this system, who's our people. That's been my biggest inspiration.
That's what's up. The list is long, but it's relevant, and it shows the resiliency of what Black folks have done and are doing. A lot of times, people, the uprising's been going on since we've been here, but it just ain't been televised and it ain't been documented in the history books because they don't want us to know about that, right? So that's part of the game, is to suppress the aggression, suppress the people that fought back in a meaningful way to try to free themselves and free others. So, you talked a little bit about trans folks, and I wanted to highlight, because I know you've done Days at the Range for LGBTQ folks as well. So, I want to highlight that as well. I know you guys prioritize that, just knowing that the violence that they deal with, it's a lot of intersectionality on top of being Black, on top of having these other, intersectionalities that, make them are victims of violence at a higher rate than other folks. So I don't know if you want to share a little bit about that and the thought process that went into that.
Excuse me for not mentioning that with our range days, but it's a newer program that we just brought really since after this uprising just started. just seeing, really talking with one of our trans comrades and seeing, the need for a defense in their communities, like a situation that happened over the summer, that I'm not going to get into details about, but it just made me see, how vulnerable that they were. And then from talking with one of the trans indigenous homies, really just seeing, how important it is for them to be defended. And they actually suggested that it was, say, DJ, shouts out DJ. But yeah, he actually suggested that we do something like this, and it makes sense. We got to make sure that our most marginalized is being protected and is being uplifted, and is getting armed. That's the main thing we push with Range Day, is like, get armed, Black people, all Black people get armed. You know what I'm saying? So really having QT by Range Day. QT by is queer, trans, Black, indigenous. We love people of color, but we know that as African people and Native people, I'm African and Native. Clearly, I identify more with my African side because of I'm Black and I'm Afro appearing, and we could say natives are Afro appearing too, but it's not something that's super common. But my family is actually Seminole, Chickasaw, and Cherokee, and I'm also Nigerian too. You can see all the Nigerian, but yeah. That Black and indigenous is we lost our land, and we were kidnapped from our land, and we lost our land. So that's what we're trying to focus on. We love people of color, and we want all trans people to be safe. And with all these Range Days, everybody's welcome. When it comes to Women's Range Day, anybody could come. You just have to pay if you're not Black. Youth Archery Day, completely free. QT by Range Day, if you're a queer, trans, Black, indigenous person, it's free for you. Other trans people could come, you just have to pay. You know what I'm saying? But we do want it to be a complete for LGBTQ, and prioritize that, not just mainly to make sure that it's a safe space for them, but I'm a cis straight Black man, and I will be there. And our goal with doing this is to build bridges, because we know that there's so much division in our community. We want to pull up and be cis straight men, and for them to not look at us as a threat, and for us not to look at their gender identity as a threat to our manhood, because we grew up in this patriarchal, toxic culture, and it causes people to look at people that is outside of these gender norms as a threat. You know what I'm saying? And it shouldn't be like that. We're all oppressed people. You know what I'm saying? Just because somebody look different than you and do different things than you doesn't mean that they're the white person that is oppressing you, the white male culture that oppresses you. So yeah, that's like some of our comrades will be there, and we'll be cis straight Black men. But as for the event, it's LGBTQ folks, unless they want to bring some of their cis or straight people.
Yeah, that's what's up. I just wanted to make sure we took some space to highlight that, because it's important, that work that you guys are doing to bridge that gap. This was dope. So I wanted to make sure that we highlighted that, just to show the intersectionality and intentionality that goes into making sure that we're rocking with everybody. You're rocking with everybody.
Yeah. And I apologize about not mentioning that earlier. We're still developing pieces. I've been wanting to collaborate with more LGBT Black focused groups. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up, and I apologize for not saying it sooner.
It's all good. It's a lot. You're doing a lot. That's what I was saying. Like, we're all doing a lot, so sometimes it's hard to capture everything. I just wanted, like I said, to point that out, because I thought that when you told me about that, I was like, that's dope. What do you think about everything that's been going on, over the past year or so? You could take that wherever you want. It's been a lot of different things with COVID, the movement, the election cycle, the politics, everything. There's there's a lot of violence going on against Asians. So this is, what do you think about, you can answer it however you want to answer, but I just want to get your input from a young brother who's leading, out here in the mix. How do you feel about everything that's been going on?
Man, It's been a lot, to be honest, it's been a lot of reactionary stuff. And I mean the whole, you know, there's a difference between reactive and reactionary if folks don't know. Um, but yeah, people have been very reactive. That's something that is just in our culture because of how we're oppressed. And then people have been reactionary in the movement, which is pretty much the opposite of revolutionary, um, and has been holding back the movement. So it's both of those factors are like huge because when we're not prepared and when we haven't been doing the study of history and using history as a case study, from me studying up under not up under but reading the books from Dr. Amos Wilson and watching lectures from him and Dr. Bobby Wright, who are psychologists and psychiatrists and philosophers and theoreticians. The, we have to make sure that we're looking at history as a case study. It's not just something we look back and be like, wow, that was great. It's like, okay, this is what this is, this. Okay, take that, understand that, and don't do that, and then bring it into now. And a lot of these people who are newer out here, they came into the movement and just didn't know. They just was just jumping in the streets. Like, I mean, you guys seen it was international with the Capitol Hill occupied zone or autonomous zone, Chaz Chop. It was international news, that this part of Seattle had been liberated. You know what I'm saying? Which is huge. I don't think people understand how huge that was liberated. Like in other countries that got revolution, they used to liberate zone after zone until they freed the whole country. You know what I'm saying? So for you to hear that a part of America was liberated, people ain't even gonna see that because they wasn't really studying history. You know what I'm saying? And it could have been a whole different thing. But yeah, the movement it's been very it's been very reactionary in a lot of ways, and it's been very positive too, in a lot of ways. A lot of good things came out of a lot of good things came out of the uprising last year, but it could have been very things could have been better if people were more prepared for these moments. And that's not something we're not taught in school, to be prepared for stuff like this. When we get killed on camera, they want to suppress any time we get killed. The only time it's a big deal, and the only reason why last year was such a big deal is because we had multiple killings on camera, and people were stuck inside the house, and people where COVID hit our communities hella hard. So people were already on edge, being stuck in the house, hitting our community hard. And then to see us die on camera like that, it was an explosion. Everything boiled over. And when people act off of their emotions, you know what I'm saying? It's not always gonna be the best thing. It could be if you can take that energy and channel it into people being not acting off their emotions and studying to actually make the next best moves we need to make as a mass of people. It'd be good, but we're always gonna have COINTELPRO. COINTELPRO is our culture now. You know what I'm saying? It became our culture. It's been our culture for a while, and anytime we tried to break free from before it existed as COINTELPRO, it's always been our culture to wage psychological warfare on our people and to push us into mindsets that literally kill us. Black on black violence, the psychodynamics of black self-annihilation in the service of white domination. That's what all this is for. It's warfare. So our culture has been pushed further into that. So it's easy to hijack the movement at this point because people have already internalized this COINTELPRO culture. And that's why you have a lot of the canceling going on. That's why you have a lot of the toxic shit going on. Both the toxic movements of people and the canceling of people are both arms of the feds for them to make sure that the United States government and just the European world powers stay in power. because if you don't do something somebody says the right way, oh, you're toxic and you're getting canceled. Or if you're just being hella toxic and if you're at the helm of the movement and you're toxic, you're slowing down the entire movement. And then people want to cancel you, but it's like you're in a very important position. You know what I'm saying? So like people want to give you the benefit of the doubt, but like people ain't about to wait forever because of the culture is already COINTELPRO. So listen, fam, we're not going through the 60s again. Bye. You know, it's like that, just like that. Instead of like giving just, a little bit of time, you know what I'm saying, for things to get right, because maybe that person doesn't really understand how toxic they are, and maybe it's going to take a little more time for people to hold that person accountable, or for people to get this person to see what he needs to be doing in the direction he needs to be going, or her needs to be going, or them, you know what I'm saying, because it's in all intersections. It's not just about males, you know what I'm saying, it's in all intersection. Toxic patriarchal culture, you can be a female and have, you can be a trans person and have toxic male patriarchal culture, in you. You can know all the intersectionality and all this information, you can still be toxic. So yes, that's been a huge hindrance, but overall it's good to see people really waking up, because it's not just going to be an overnight thing. It's going to happen in stages in a chronological manner. So if people can understand history and understand how to press those points in those chronological orders, and make sure that people are getting the information they need so they can move to the next level, and people working on themselves too, and making sure that they're taking care of themselves to get the information they need in a healthy manner, then we'll be good. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. I think a lot of people are going to have learned a lot of stuff from last year, and what to do and what not to do, and we need to just really stay focused and go back into our history, because if we just study our history, we won't need to go through it. Well, at least won't have to go through hella shit. You know what I'm saying? Maybe just a little bit, but as for the most part, we'd be moving forward on a good tip. So yeah, it was good regardless of where people were at. I see that people are more united than ever. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, there is division still out here, and it's going to be like that. But as long as there's people like me that keep pushing unity through the community, you know what I'm saying, I have faith that the movement will eventually help free us and the land.
Yeah, and that's really, it's hindsight's 2020. It's, crawl, walk, run, right? You know what I mean? It's and you look back, it's always things that can be improved, which is part of the process. Any process, to have improvement, you need to look back and see where things are at, but like, I agree. I think, it's been great, really, to see people come together. And once people really understand that, folks that are oppressed, even poor white folks got more in common with folks of color than anything. But as long as they got us focused on, our differences, then, they're winning, right? You know what I mean? It's the same thing with gang activity and all that. As long as they got us focused on the minuscule little differences that we have, it's all distractions. You know what I mean? But that's part of the issue, is there's not a lot of resources or time dealing with capitalism. We don't have a lot of time to sit down and break bread and build relationships and like you said, do the homework, study, so we're ready to react. We can't be proactive because we end up being reactive. So that's a huge issue, and there's not a lot of resources. When they fund broken people, and we're not the issue. The system's actually not broken. The system's working the way it's supposed to work. You know what I mean? But there's no funding to correct that. It's all about how are you going to work with poor people or underserved people, or whatever the hot phrase is right now. BIPOC is the hot phrase. But it's like, how are you going to do this stuff? And that's what we're going to fund, is how are you going to fix these? How are you going to get so many people back into school? How are you going to stop people from going to jail? Or how are you going to, and realistically, programs aren't going to solve those problems, because racism and, capitalism and all that is all pressing down on everything. And just because somebody came to a program 2 hours a week for 6 weeks or 10 weeks doesn't mean that stops everything else. So, but I feel like, that's what Bill does, is really, really try to spend time and build relationships with folks and spend time with people and break bread. So that way you do got the relationship, you got the equity in the relationship. So when it's time to act, you could pick the phone up and, you're able to make things happen, and vice versa. That's just the nature of, we're tribal, folks is tribal. So we really need to be able, and we got a lot of resources. And that's really what this show is, to highlight the resources that we have out here so people can tap in and get connected, and make things happen. So I appreciate you. And you kind of transition to just talked about the toxicity and how everybody kind of has that in them. Nobody's shit don't stink, right? We all got issues, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, we got to continue to work and strive to be better, which kind of transitions us into our next question. I always try to, embody this in the work that I do personally for myself, as well as people that are in my inner circle and then the community at large. It's really a hot topic, and it's, trendy, a little self-care, self-love, all that stuff is trending, but especially folks that are in the grind and trying to fill other people's cups. Sometimes our cup gets empty and we don't really spend the time that we need to take care of ourselves. So I wanted you to share some ways, what have you have done during this time to take care of yourself?
I'm saying,
be real with it.
Man, it took me a while. It took me a while to really figure out what I did need to do. I mean, because when the uprising first started, from the beginning of the uprising, damn near to the beginning of fall, so pretty much a whole season, there was no there was no off time. You know what I'm saying? It was like everything was movement, because our city was really, jumping. And then somebody like me, I know where everything's happening at and where to be and where I need to be. So yeah, it was really hard to get that. But what I did do when I could, is go to the water or be with my boo boo. Shouts out to you. And just kind of check out and get away from stuff. Yeah, that was a big thing for me. Was just doing that, but it was hard to really check out. But yeah, really since last June, I've probably been out of town twice. In February, I went to Hawaii, and that was cool. But yeah, for the most part, man, I really find my self-care in studying and just dissecting the movement, our past movements, and really just that Sankofa for me, and for those who don't know, Sankofa is a word in the Twi language from the people of Ghana, the Twi people of Ghana, to go back into the past, retrieve what was lost to bring it into the present to transform the future. And that motto of Sankofa, that's really been a grounding tool for me, because anytime I'm feeling like any type of vibe that is just not good for my head, that's where I think about my ancestors, and I think about how far everybody has come for me and how I can't give up. And that has been a huge piece of self-care for me, because that takes me to study, and that has me looking up random stuff culturally, and studying our independences and our leaders, and that's just what it's been a huge thing for me, just to study and know who I am. That's where I find self-care in my history, and just finding out my history. So that's been a huge thing for me. And also my comrades, just breaking bread with all the folks who, been holding it down for me, whether they here, whether they gone, you know what I'm saying? That's been a huge thing for me. But yeah, I have a tendency to overwork a little bit, but yeah, definitely Sankofa has been a huge self-care tool for me in my belt.
That's what's up, and that's why I asked the question, because I know you and I have had side conversations about that. And this is just in general, this is something that we got to do a better job on, like I said, if you take a pause or whatever, all the isms that we're trying to fight are still going to be here. So just making sure that and I'm drinking my juice now too. Like I'm trying to work out and go on walks and, just make sure I'm just able to unplug just for a second. Cause I'm really like OCD with it. Like when I start going in a rabbit hole, it's like, man, it's nonstop. So, but yeah, just continue to try to educate yourself and self-love, self-care, make sure your people that are around you, you're pushing them in that direction and vice versa. They're pushing you, pulling you in that direction, and share your goals around how you're taking care of yourself with others so they can, hold you accountable just like anything else. You know what I mean? Like that's just as important as anything else. So the next question is what advice would you have someone looking to get involved in community work, in the movement, in the community work? Because we saw a lot of people come in the mix during this last year. And everybody comes in at some point, right? So we need to have space for new folks to get in the mix. But what advice would you give somebody looking to get involved?
Some advice that I would look to give to people who are tapping in. A big thing is it's just being principled, understanding, there's shoulders we stand on, and a lot of people come in and try and reinvent the wheel or go in a direction that they think is best. So I would suggest people really read somebody who's good as Amilcar Cabral, the revolutionary of Guinea-Bissau and Cape Verde, who's responsible for their independence. But he talks about living in reality and understanding that the movement has to be built based off the reality of the environment, of the people you're trying to serve, the time that you're in, then the geographical place that you're in. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, just what culture you're up under. You know what I'm saying? Going off that reality to really change, because what we're doing is this is really a cultural revolution. That's what has to happen first, because we live in European culture, which is inherently capitalist, which is inherently anti-Black, which is inherently anti-African, which is inherently individualist. There's no communal models up in here, but on their side of running things. So really just, I want them to understand reality and understand the system, and what they have to do that is really do some introspection to understand where they've been colonized, really studying, getting the tools to do the introspection so they can see their own colonization and see where they've been led wrong, and where they have a European mindset that is literally destroying their own selves within their own head. So yeah, studying, getting those tools to do the introspection to change themselves first, before they really try to put themselves into any positions of leadership. While you're doing that, just find trustworthy people who are leading the movement, and not just with their mouths, but with their feet. You're seeing work being done that's actually helping the people, and get with those people while you're doing that, and while you're preparing to be the leader that you want to be for the community, and to be the responsible worker, comrade, friend, cultural worker, whatever it is, to do that. To be able to do that, make sure that you get with those people while you're using those tools you got from studying to do the introspection and dissect those pieces and get rid of the junk European cultural DNA that is destroying your own self. So,
right.
And I would say junk white, because European countries are the ones who are responsible for a lot of this stuff, but it's the concept of whiteness that roots European culture and toxicity. So getting rid of that whiteness within yourself is a huge thing, because race is a made up concept. It didn't exist before the 1600s. Everything was culture. You know what I'm saying? Race is used to control the entire world. So yeah.
Yes, having a better understanding of that, as well as tapping in with folks who are really doing real work.
Yeah.
That happens. So
with their feet,
right.
not their lips.
Right. Cats that are in on the pavement. That's what's up. So we got it in the description, but I want to give you an opportunity to shout it out because we know people take in information differently. Like, what's the best way for folks to get to reach out to you and the Black Elephant Party? So, your website, IG, stuff like that.
The best way to get in touch with us is via email. You can follow us on the social medias that's listed. Black Elephant Party or Black Elephant Party ORG on IG and Facebook, and Black Elephant PA1 on Twitter. We're still, getting more acclimated to Twitter. We're trying to be more active on there, but very active on Facebook and Instagram. So follow us there. Also, you can go to our website at theblackelephantparty.org. And from there, you can RSVP for the Women's Range Day and Youth Archery Day. And you can also sign up to volunteer. Where like we said, we work with the George Jackson Freedom Coalition, which is our brother comrades, and we're pretty much one and the same. On the same tip, we're all from, we grew up in gang life, and now we're trying to get the people to see which direction we're supposed to be going. So tap in with them too. GJ Freedom Coalition on Instagram and Facebook, and yeah, you can volunteer because we do need more people for court watch. We're trying to keep a big eye on the King County Prosecuting Attorney's Office, and to just expand that work out to the state level prosecutors who, the legislative sessions, whatever bills are getting passed, we want to make sure that we're there. So sign up to volunteer so we can keep pressure and get our people free. That's the main thing that we really want people to focus on, is freeing the land and freeing our people, getting our people, off top though. You know what I'm saying? It may take a while to free the land of other methods, but that's something we really are more tapped into, is freeing the people. So if people want to volunteer, they can go to the website and sign up there.
That's what's up. And just so for the record, y'all, Blaq, they spell it BLAQ and then elephant.
BLAQ.
Yeah, just so for the record, it's in the description too. So make sure you guys tap in. They got volunteer opportunities. You could, get some history. You could tap in. Not only that, they're connected to a bunch of other organizations that are doing meaningful work, not just with their lips, but actually, putting the feet to the pavement to making things happen. So before we end the show, I always give people opportunity to ask me questions, since I've been asking you questions. So I don't know if you have any questions for me.
Yeah. What is the best way you feel to go about building relationships with all people in our community?
Well, I think our community is very diverse. Black community is very diverse, as we talked about a little bit on this interview. During this interview, I think we got to have time to slow down and spend time, break bread, build relationships, share stories with everybody, and understand that depending on what cat you're trying to skin, if it's education, criminal justice, homelessness, there's all these issues, right, that we're trying to tackle. And there's all these different strategies on how to, even if you just look at one of them, there's all these different ways that folks are very diverse in their thought process on making that happen. So, having space, making space for others' perspectives. And then sometimes, there may be folks in the community that you're not aligned with, that you're not going to rock with, that's okay too. We don't have to rock with everybody, right? Just continue to work. So I think I think slowing down, having time, having resources to really break bread, spend time with each other, get out in nature, have conversations are key, especially with gentrification, because when we were gentrified, we had to be in the neighborhoods with each other, right? So we were seeing each other a lot more. Now we're spread out wherever we can afford to live, right? Because of capitalism. And so I think the best way is to really spend time. It don't cost a lot of money to get together and go have lunch or go grab some coffee or go on a walk or whatever. It's just really, my guy Rico says it's not rocket science, it's social science, man. It's really, you just got to bring people together and spend time with each other and be intentional about doing it, and really rely on each other. And that's really the highlight of this show, is really to show the resiliency and the resources that we already have in our community, and how do we, enhance those moving forward, which is a big part of the movement. Is like, we have, public safety already. It's just how do we increase the capacity and the resources to make that happen and not rely on, police who doesn't make our community feel safe, So we're really paying for it. We're paying for a disservice for a lot, not just police, but education and a whole bunch of other things we're paying taxes for. We end up paying for a disservice. So I think, in short, it's really about relationships, spending time with each other, which we don't really have time to do because everybody's trying to work, everybody's trying to pay their bills, take care of their kids, and all this other stuff. So, yeah.
For sure, yeah.
So I appreciate you spending your time building with us, sharing the knowledge that you have, sharing the resources that you have, you're connected to in the community. I'll share with folks how old you are because you didn't share that. I want to make sure we're highlighting that.
Yeah, I'm 28. Just turned 28 in February.
That's what's up. The golden birthday, right?
You know what I'm saying? Golden, 28th on the 28th, man. You know what I'm saying? 93, baby.
That's what's up. So that's the point is, we can learn from anybody. It's not about age. It's not about, it's my guy Isaiah says we're either teacher or a student at any given time. So we're either teaching somebody something or learning something from somebody. So that just, goes to show you. So I just wanted to highlight, like I said, it's intergenerational, this leadership and we need to gear people like you up and others so people can pass the baton and get out the way and let you guys, get it across the finish line. Sometimes folks want to just hold on to stuff and stay in the way. So like I said, I appreciate your time. I know you got things to jump on to, so we'll be in touch. Let's stay tapped in.
For sure. Appreciate you, bro.
All right, bro. Peace. Once again, this is Dre with Build 206 Media. This is the Collective Network. As you heard, this young brother's doing amazing things. Him and his comrades are doing amazing things in the community. You guys make sure you guys go tap in on their website, donate, volunteer, spread it around, share the resources because they're doing amazing work in the community. Once again, this is Dre Franklin with Build 206 Media. Hit up our website, build206.com. All right, y'all. Peace.